Black Ops 4 is already shaping up to be a complete failure, and ahead of the beta, which is set to take place in August, if the rumors are true, we've only really seen gameplay and heard the impressions from Activision's hand-selected group of so-called Call of Duty influencers, who are flown out and most likely compensated for their time and promotion of the upcoming Call of Duty game, Black Ops 4. I think to say that controversy is surrounding Black Ops 4 is a bit of an understatement. There is a ton of negative aspects surrounding this game at this point, like the fundamental changes to the core gameplay mechanics, the decision to scrap the single-player campaign altogether, and the Black Ops Pass or the Season Pass for Black Ops 4, whatever you want to call it. There's just a lot of negative things surrounding this game, but I'll touch on each of these later in more detail. But ever since the original developers and creators of Call of Duty at Infinity Ward actually left Activision to go form a new development studio known as Respawn Entertainment, which now works on the Titanfall series, Treyarch has really been the only development studio who works on Call of Duty for the most part that has released consistently good games, even during the Advanced Movement era with games like Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and of course Infinite Warfare. Can't forget about that trash heap. Fans definitely enjoyed Black Ops 3 the most out of those games. And even to this day, Black Ops 3 has a larger concurrent player base than any Call of Duty game released before or after as of right now. So leading up to the reveal of Treyarch's highly anticipated new game, many fans of the series and gamers alike had high expectations for this year's Call of Duty, especially after coming off of two terrible games in a row with Infinite Warfare and World War II. When Black Ops 4 was first teased, everyone was very excited because to date, every single Black Ops game has been for the most part a fantastic experience. But when the reveal actually came around and many of the rumors surrounding this game started to become true and a lot of worries were confirmed and the gameplay was shown for the first time, many fans were disappointed to say the least with what they saw. It looked almost like a reskin of Black Ops 3 but with no advanced movement system or wall running. So a lot of fans are concerned about Black Ops 4 and rightfully so, and there's a number of reasons for that. First off, the gameplay, arguably Call of Duty's biggest strength, is a drastic departure from the typical formula we've seen in all other previous entries in the series. Now, I'm not just talking about the game having boost jumping, wall running versus being boots on the ground. That's not even what I'm talking about in terms of a drastic change to the gameplay. So let's compare, for an example, two very different games, Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 2, just for an example. Yes, one has the advanced movement system and one is classic boots on the ground Call of Duty, but take that difference away and the core game is damn near identical. Gunplay is that same familiar feel, you get kills, cap objectives, or whatever, and work your way up to a kill streak. Generally, if you have played any of the previous entries in the Call of Duty franchise and you pick up the latest game, chances are you will still be able to do very well as the base gameplay mechanics from game to game are very similar. Black Ops 4 could be the first major departure from that trend. First, they are increasing the base health by about 50%, so time to kill will be much longer than any previous game, and that's evident by watching gameplay footage from the multiplayer capture event. As you can see right now, it looks like a lot more bullets are needed just to get a regular kill. That means that getting feeds in Black Ops 4 is going to take much longer, if not damn near impossible altogether. If this is the case, the game could take a much slower pace, which is not why I play Call of Duty. I and many other people out there play for the fast-paced, quick kills gameplay. Also in Black Ops 4, the tried and true 6v6 multiplayer that Call of Duty is known for is being knocked down to 5v5 in favor of a so-called more tactical, fun with friends approach, which is not a welcome change whatsoever. If anything, I would have preferred if they raised the amount of players in each match to at least 8v8. This is obviously a direct reaction to the success of Rainbow Six Siege and Activision's own game, Overwatch. Both of those games feature a 5v5 multiplayer with a more tactical, team-driven approach, and it's obvious that this is what Activision is going for with this change. Call of Duty has had a history of copying gaming trends in order to keep the game relevant, like with Call of Duty Ghost implementing minimal destructible elements to the map environments to try to compete with Battlefield. Black Ops 3 adding wall running mechanics after Titanfall saw success with that feature, and with World War II basically ripping off both Battlefield's Rush game mode and Overwatch's Escort game mode to create a new game mode called War. So given this history of Activision taking this so-called inspiration from other games, it's no surprise that they're following the example of two of the most popular FPS games on the market right now. I mean, Black Ops 4 is even getting on the Battle Royale hype train with the Blackout mode, which is almost sure to be a buggy trash heap given the antiquated Call of Duty engine and terrible servers. In addition to that, for the first time ever, Call of Duty has removed health regen, another element that draws similarity to Overwatch. In Black Ops 4, you have a limited number of stim packs on you when you spawn, which is what you use to manually regen health, and once you run out, you have to find a medic specialist to refill your supply. This is yet another change to multiplayer that will give it a slower feel. So there of course are many changes to the gameplay, but these are the ones that are most evident from what I've seen from the game so far. Once the beta comes out though, we will get a better idea of the game, and we'll get a lot more, how should I say it, honest, unfiltered opinions on the game. But before we get into the most controversial aspect of Black Ops 4, that of course being the Black Ops Pass, let's briefly touch on the decision to completely ditch any sort of a campaign. Now, this is the first time that any Call of Duty game has not had a dedicated campaign with it at launch. Believe it or not, there are actually people out there who buy Call of Duty primarily for the single-player campaign. Now, of course, they are in the minority, but at the same time, it is still driving away previous customers that have supported your game in the past by removing one of the pillars of what made Call of Duty Call of Duty. For me personally, it is not the biggest deal in the world, okay? Especially after the dumpster fire of a campaign that Black Ops 3 had, but I can see why this might upset others. You're removing content and still asking $60 for the game. It almost makes you wonder, why the hell are they calling Black Ops 4 Black Ops 4 when the game really has no connection whatsoever to the Black Ops franchise, since it doesn't have a single player campaign. Black Ops was always Black Ops because of the campaign element, but obviously they kept the name for marketing purposes because of the great name recognition of the Black Ops series, and a lot of people love that franchise, and a lot of people only buy Treyarch's Call of Duty games. So it makes sense why they kept the Black Ops name. It just doesn't really make sense that they don't have a single player campaign. But like I said, it's not the biggest deal in the world that they don't have a campaign, but still something I completely understand the backlash behind. I really enjoy Call of Duty campaigns when they're done right. Personally, I still think Infinity Ward makes the best campaigns for Call of Duty. You can say what you want about the multiplayer aspects of Call of Duty Ghosts and Infinite Warfare, but the campaigns were kick-ass. Like, honestly, Ghosts had a fantastic campaign. It was only 4 hours, but it's still one of my favorite in the Call of Duty franchise to date. And Infinite Warfare, the only positive thing I can say about that game is the campaign for that game was absolutely phenomenal, and I would recommend anyone go out and play that campaign because it was really one of the best, if not the best, in the Call of Duty franchise. So there was always that kind of redemption factor. If maybe you hated the multiplayer, you still had a great campaign to fall back on, and maybe made you think, okay, my purchase wasn't completely wasted. At least I got to play this really great campaign single-player experience, but that's not the case this year, and at the same time, they are dumping a lot of their fan base that may go out there and purchase this game primarily for the campaign, and now it's basically all or nothing. It's all multiplayer and zombies, and there's no campaign for it to fall on. So Treyarch is really putting everything out on the line with this game. If the multiplayer sucks, if the zombies sucks, this game could flop because there is no campaign whatsoever. So it's interesting. I completely get the backlash behind this. I wish they did spend time and make a flushed out and great campaign, but at the same time, I'd rather them not just shoehorn a piece of shit campaign into the game and say, well, look, we checked this box. So I don't know. I'm mixed on this. It's not the biggest deal to me, but I understand why people are upset. So let's go ahead and get into the biggest problem surrounding Black Ops 4, and that, of course, is the Black Ops Pass. This is the single biggest thing that's angering people about this game, and it's something personally I am completely against. In principle, the Black Ops Pass is simply the typical season pass we see with other Call of Duty games, so it's nothing really that new for the franchise. But there are two major differences this year. First off, this is basically a take it or leave it mentality when it comes to the Black Ops Pass. You have to buy this as one set bundle. You cannot buy the individual pieces of DLC separately, and that is something new that has never happened before in Call of Duty history, and there's two reasons for why they did this. First off, they want all your money up front, okay? They would rather you spend the $50 up front than space out the money. That's just the way it is, because they want the money so they can go back and invest it and make more money off of it sooner rather than later. And at the same time, it doesn't divide the DLC community, because people who buy maybe DLC Pack 1 and 3 are in a completely separate player pool than the people who have access to the Season Pass. So it just keeps the DLC community together, and everyone who buys the DLC will all be playing with the exact same maps, and it makes their matchmaking system much easier. So there are two aspects to this. They want the money up front, and they want to keep the DLC community together. So there is a positive aspect to it, I guess you could say, but not really. You're being forced to basically say, well, I want this one zombies map, so I'm going to have to spend $50, where last year I could just spend $15 and get access to that map. So it sucks from that aspect, and that's why it's a drastic departure. But also, when you take a look at what's actually included in the Black Ops Pass, you also see something very different from previous years. Compare it to Black Ops 3, for example. The content is far less than what we typically come to expect in a Season Pass. In the Black Ops Pass, you get 12 multiplayer maps and 4 zombie maps and 4 exclusive Blackout characters and access to an exclusive zombies map at launch. When you compare this to Black Ops 3 Season Pass, you got 16 multiplayer maps and 4 zombies maps. You suddenly realize the amount of multiplayer content has been reduced by 25%. So basically, for the same price of every other Season Pass in the history of Call of Duty, you are getting less for your money, and that is a major issue. Now, let's not forget that when Black Ops 4 was revealed to have no campaign, Treyarch said this was to focus on multiplayer and zombies content in Black Ops 4. So why is it that the Season Pass has the same amount of zombies maps and even less multiplayer content than previous Call of Duty games that had a Season Pass, that had a dedicated single-player campaign? This smells like a complacent Activision participating in an easy cash grab. Now, all of this is in spite of the fact that Season Passes are all but extinct at this point, other than in Call of Duty, of course. Battlefield, Titanfall, Battlefront 2, Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, all do not lock content in the form of maps and game modes behind paid DLC. At this point, even EA has given up on trying to charge an additional $50 for access to multiplayer maps that only fracture the community and provide a smaller player pool to your most loyal customers. It is time for Activision to follow EA's example. I cannot believe I'm actually saying that, but EA at this point seems more pro-consumer. Most other games are making this move because they have found that with the success of Fortnite, you can make just as much, if not more, off of simply selling cosmetic microtransactions. Activision, on the other hand, is going to do both. Not only will they have the antiquated business model of charging for a Season Pass, but they will almost certainly still have both cosmetic items and weapons behind a loot box paywall. That to me is unacceptable and is why I will not support the Season Pass of this game whatsoever. But just you wait, it only keeps getting better. Of course it does. This is Activision we're talking about. The only way currently to buy the Black Ops Pass is to buy the digital deluxe version of the game or the physical Pro Edition exclusively at GameStop for either $99 for the digital deluxe or $120 for the Pro Edition at GameStop in the US. Now, Activision has said that this pass will be available separately at a later date, but no news on when that will be. This is complete bullshit, and it's set up in a way that people, especially children, will think they have to go out and buy the digital deluxe version of this game immediately in order to have any sort of a chance to buy the Black Ops Pass and get the new content in this game, as well as to have access to a piece of purposefully held back content in the form of that exclusive zombies map. This pass is anti-consumer to say the very least, and I think it's the worst example I have ever seen of any company trying to do this Season Pass business model. Now, I could understand somewhat if they were doing this and everything else in the game did not cost money. If they got rid of microtransactions, they got rid of loot boxes, they got rid of everything like that, and this was the only sort of paid content in the game, I would be perfectly fine with it, okay? That's just me personally. I know a lot of people would still probably be pissed off, but I personally would not mind as much. But we all know this game is going to have the loot boxes. It's going to have the pay-to-win mechanics because they're going to lock DLC weapons behind a loot box paywall. That is just the reality. Black Ops 3 is probably the worst example I think I've ever seen of that in any video game. So it's going to be there, it's going to be present, and that's in addition to this terrible season pass practice. So it's just awful. This is one of the worst examples I've ever seen in any video game, and I will not be supporting it whatsoever. So keeping these three main issues in mind, it's possible that this game could be a complete train wreck and possibly be the worst Call of Duty game we have ever seen. Even worse than Infinite Warfare, because this game breaks that typical Call of Duty formula more than any game I can think of in the series. At this point, who the hell knows though? This game could be great and all these concerns could be completely unwarranted, or the game could be absolute garbage and one of the worst games that Call of Duty has ever put out. But until this beta comes out, we really have nothing to go off of other than, of course, the paid-for opinions by Call of Duty YouTubers who were handpicked by Activision and flown out to the multiplayer capture event and most likely compensated for their promotion of the game in making impressions videos on their time they spent with Black Ops 4. So last year, I thought Call of Duty World War II was going to be a great game, but once I played the beta, I knew the game was going to be about as good as a dumpster on a hot summer day. At the time, everybody told me I was full of shit and that the game would be the best in the series once the game launched and they fixed all the issues. But how many people out there are still playing Call of Duty World War II at this point? But anyway, guys, so when August comes around, make sure to keep an eye out for my beta impressions video where you can be sure there will be no paid for opinions and deceptions. Right now, my hopes are almost non-existent for Black Ops 4, and as things sit right now, this game looks like it is going to be a complete failure, and a game I probably won't enjoy whatsoever. But anyway, guys, make sure to let me know your thoughts on Black Ops 4. Are you still planning on picking up this game despite the issues and controversy surrounding the game, or are you not interested whatsoever? Personally, I'm going to see how the beta is to make my final decision on the game, and I'm still a little bit interested in the Battle Royale mode because we've literally seen nothing on it so far, so I'm interested to hear the details on that. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, or hit the dislike button if you didn't. Consider subscribing for future videos like this one, and make sure to hit the bell for notifications so you are notified every time I upload a brand new video. Also, follow me on Twitter at Griffin_gaming, or click the link in the description below. That is by far the best way to talk to me, ask me a question, or whatever the hell you want to tell me. So follow me on Twitter, like I said before, at Griffin_gaming, or click the link in the description below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.